CO. I am Larry, son of Liston, a Gandhi dancer, son of Audrey, who was born in a segregated coal village built for people of color. I am the grandson of Minnie, a Cherokee woman who did not survive that coal town. My lifeblood flows deep within the veins of these ancient mountains, so old that they were here before the ocean, stretching from Alabama to Scotland, separated today by water and language, but united by ancient spirit. The Appalachians are alive, embracing. Other mountains may be more majestic, but the Appalachians are curvaceous, maternal, and nurturing. This afternoon, I want to share with you the ways Native people have lived in covenant with this land, with the spirit of this land, for 10,000 generations. The land is not an inanimate thing to be used. It is a living, breathing entity with its own language and lessons. In Native traditions, two-leggeds are not lord and master of this land, but the youngest part of creation, constantly learning our way from ancient wisdom keepers. Nonetheless, the Creator has also entrusted us with awesome power. With guidance of eternal wisdom, we can become co-creators. We reveal new creations beyond even the Creator's magnificent gifts. Corn, or maize, may be the most amazing example of this. See, there's no such thing as wild corn. It was hybridized by indigenous agronomists beginning 10,000 years ago. A small grain called teosinte was wed with sturdy prairie grass. Today, Native American corn is grown on nearly every continent, and it is by far the most significant grain crop in the world. Even your automobile drinks nectar from corn. Nightshades are another wonderful example. As long as 11,000 years ago, indigenous people used nightshades to selectively breed potatoes. In time, that selective breeding created tomatoes, peppers, sorrel, eggplant, tobacco, petunias, and more. This dizzying array is so significant that tonight, Native American nightshades will grace nearly every table on Earth and shape local cuisines all over the world. Can you imagine Thai food without peppers, or Italian food without tomato sauce, or McDonald's without French fries? We could go on for hours on this topic alone, but instead, we will focus on our covenant with the land. No doubt you've heard about the three sisters, an ancient indigenous technique we sometimes call polyculture. These crops planted together provide symbiosis. Corn, beans, and squash produce more side by side than they could by themselves. But this is not just a clever planting technique. It is a spiritual lesson for two-leggeds. The three sisters help guide Native life and relationships and covenant in the forest, the family, the tribal government, and daily living. Our family stories or myths help guide this. In the classical sense, a myth is not a falsehood. It is a story that tells a truth too deep for words. The Cherokee have such a story about Selu, the Corn Mother. Other tribes tell this story in their own ways, but they agree that in the beginning, Selu sacrificed her own life for her children. Where her blood touched the earth, corn grew. Where her hair touched the land, tobacco grew. So every ear of corn is a precious gift of a mother's life blood. The Haudenosaunee, or Iroquois, have the words that come before all things, also known as the Great Thanksgiving. This prayer goes through every bit of creation. It systematically thanks the Creator for the earth, the waters, the fish, the plants, the animals, and the stars. By naming every element of nature, the community gathers their minds as one to acknowledge their dependence on creation. It serves as a constant reminder that humans are the last and most dependent part of creation, and it gives thanks for the ways the land lays down its life that we might live. Those ways differed from those of the Pilgrims and other early immigrants who viewed native forests as, and I quote, a hideous and howling wilderness, a moral wasteland, and the devil's last preserve. Indigenous people viewed the forest as a covenant partner for life. Over thousands of generations, Native people expanded the range of the American chestnut throughout eastern Turtle Island or North America until they covered 200 million acres. Chestnuts provided high-protein nuts, of course, as well as meal, bread, foraging for wildlife. The wood was strong and resisted rot. Chestnuts provided tannin to make leather and shelter for understory food crops and medicine. Groups like the Haudenosaunee, Cherokee, and other eastern woodland groups managed vast groves of chestnut, hickory, and walnut trees. Native people considered controlled burns to be medicine for the forest, creating vast savannas, glades, meadows, and other ecosystems. In turn, these provided polyculture for abundant wildlife, ginseng, ramps, black cohosh, bloodroot, golden seal, sassafras, blueberries and wild strawberries, and countless other precious plants. Another of our creation stories says that the animals came to council bearing their complaints about the behavior of the two-leggeds. Each of them in turn left a disease that would plague people if they did not treat the four-leggeds and the winged ones with honor and respect. But the plants also took counsel. They took pity on the two-leggeds, and they each chose to provide some kind of medicine to heal them of every affliction. They agreed to keep their medicine a secret and only revealed that power to those who came to listen to the plants with honor and respect. So the forest that the Europeans saw as dark and foreboding, Indigenous people saw as a symbiotic Three Sisters world in action. From the beginning, this divergence of understanding created a cultural clash. The newcomers said, "I own this land now, and this water is mine. I can use it all as I see fit." Covenant people say the water is life, and we are responsible for keeping it healthy. The colonists wanted to use the land for their greatest profit. The covenant people say you never take from creation without giving back. If you harvest a plant, you leave an offering of thanks. You ensure that the patch can regrow. The land isn't just a grocery store. It's a family member who provides for you. In a family, if one person provides the meal, others help clean up and ensure there's enough for tomorrow. You don't exploit your family. You care for them so they can care for you. We do that through what we call honorable harvest. One never takes the first thing they find, nor do they take more than half of anything. This ensures that the species thrives. We do this by asking permission from the land before we plow or plant or harvest, and by giving thanks and asking for forgiveness for taking a life. Not just when we take a deer or game animal, but also when we harvest forest plants or trees. All of this flows from our teaching of 7 generations. We are called to weigh all our actions with the understanding that each action touches 7 generations. And that is true. Each of us leaves a trail of action and reaction down through time. But I was taught that we stand in the middle of those 7 generations. So our actions affect future generations, yes, but also the 3 preceding. They are the wisdom keepers who invested in us. They are the elders who come to us in dreams and visions. Their voices mingle with the whispers of the trees and the rivers. Our actions determine whether they lived or died in vain, and our actions reveal whether we have learned the lessons they taught. Every act of survival, eating a meal, drinking from a spring, or cutting a tree, is a transaction that must be balanced with personal gratitude and community service. In Cherokee, gadugi. The concept of gadugi explains how the covenant is lived out in daily life. It refers to people coming together to help one another, working a neighbor's field, building a house, cleaning a stream, sharing a harvest. Helping the community is viewed as an extension of helping the land itself. You see, you cannot have a healthy community on a sick land. Let me close with a story as old as creation. The Cherokee say that when the world was new, it was too hot for any living thing to dwell. So the Creator sent a great bird to cool the earth with his wings. Now, you must know that in Indigenous stories, birds are never just birds. They are always messengers from heaven. So the wings of this great bird brought coolness and the possibility of life straight from the Creator. But in time, the great bird grew weary. He flew lower and lower and slower and slower until at last he began to touch the earth with his wings. The valleys were formed on the downstroke of those mighty wings, and the mountains were formed as they swept up again. So at last, Creator called the great bird to come home, lest the whole world should become mountains. To this day we can see that this is so. For every morning and evening, as the sun kisses the ridges and hollers, you can still see the furrows along the mountains, where the wingtips of the Creator touched the earth, and you can still feel the power of creation. The Creator made people for these Appalachian mountains. You call them the Cherokee, and the mountains were made for those people. Today, you also have become those people. The wings of God have shaped this land and created these Appalachian mountains for you. And now, you at last have been made for these mountains. You are now a part of the covenant of creation.